Howdy, MAT 114. We made it to the final, and you have a few options that you can do to turn in your final exam. So no matter what option you choose, the first thing you need to do is go to the final exam Dropbox where you can download the final exam. I have it in two forms. I have it in Word document and I have it in PDF. You can choose either one. They're the same document, just different formats. Work through each of the questions that are in that document, the final exam questions, work through all of those different pieces, and then you need to make a decision on how you want to turn it in. Okay, the important thing here is that you are only submitting your answers. I'm not giving partial credit on the final exam. Most of these are going to be vocabulary questions. Do you know different features and characteristics of the different types of functions and models that we studied this semester. So there won't be really any work for you to submit here. I'm only going to be grading your answers, and here's how you can turn them in. You have three options. Option number one, you're going to download the answer sheet, which is just the last page of the exam. If you were to scroll down through that downloaded document, you'd see the last page is the answer document. That's the only page that you are going to be allowed to turn in on your final, in the final Dropbox. So fill in that answer sheet with answers only using your computer, save it or export it as a PDF document, and then upload it to the exam Dropbox. That's also in the content folder. All right, so you can use your computer to fill in the answer sheet. That's option one. Option two, you can write out the exact answer sheet. I should not be able to tell the difference other than the fact that it is handwritten. So you're going to copy only what's on the answer sheet, that last page, onto your own paper. Fill in all of your answers on that sheet, and then scan the answer sheet that you drew using a scanner or a scanning app. Okay, so what you turn in needs to be a PDF file. There is a free scanning app that the math department told me to tell you all about, which is called Genius Scanner, and you can use that to transform papers that are in front of you into pictures, and the app will turn those pictures into a PDF document that you can turn in. Either way, if you are turning in your answer sheet with option 1 or 2, you're turning it into the final exam Dropbox in the content folder. The third option is completely different. It's the same exam, but the method will be different. There is an option for you in the content folder to access what is called the Final Exam Live. That's what I've called it anyway, Final Exam Live. And what this is I typed in every single question from the exam into Blackboard and made a Blackboard test. So if you're not able to do the exact options that I've given you for 1 or 2, and you have to use, then you're able to use option 3 here, which is to take the exam live on Blackboard. Now you get 2 attempts, so if you completely screw up, you can go back in as long as it's before the due date, and you can make some changes. That's the only option that's going to get you 2 attempts. With this, you go question by question. I'm about to show all of these options throughout the rest of the video, so you know exactly what to do on every question. But you'll go question by question, and you will have the downloaded version in front of you and go question by question to type in your answers. So this is a way for you to avoid having to upload anything. You're just typing your answers into Blackboard one by one. Okay. You are welcome to use this as your first option. A lot of people like to print things out and write on them, so I just listed it first. But if you want to enter your answers in by typing them directly into Blackboard, feel free. Okay, now it might give you some sort of preliminary score right away, but that won't include any curves or any corrections that I go in and make. So, don't react immediately to whatever score it gives you. It's just the computer looking it over, okay? I will look over every single answer that you turn in to make sure that if you deserve credit, you get it. No matter how you decide to turn in the final, you must turn it in by Thursday, May 14th at 11:59 p.m. This is the last moment of CEP week. I'm giving you an entire week to complete this test. I will not give any extensions or grant an incomplete based on your lack of ability to fill in the final. A 0 will automatically be entered into your gradebook if I do not receive your solutions by the due date. 100%, I'm telling you right now, start it early and try to turn it in early in case there are problems, because I am not going to give you any sort of extensions. I cannot give you extensions. Okay, Blackboard is basically going to shut down everything at 11:59. Once it rolls over to the next day, it's over. Okay, the whole semester. So this is your only chance to turn in your final exam. This is a screenshot of exactly what the answer sheet will look like if you download it from the computer. Right? Every single one of you is going to be downloading the exam, whether you're taking it online or not. So this is just a copy of what the answer sheet is going to look like. So you can see exactly how many questions there are, 16 questions, okay? And some of them have multiple parts, but everything is listed here. Okay, so if it was me and I had this answer sheet, I would keep that page up front the whole time and write my answers as I go. Okay, but you're welcome to approach this any way you want. Basically, the online version that we'll look at in just a minute, it gives you one option at a time for you to fill in. I'll show you number 1 first. We'll go all the way through number 8. Then number 9 will pop up. It'll be the only question on the screen. When you finish that, question 9B will be on the screen, and it'll go part by part like that. Okay, some of them will be fill in the blank. I'll explain how to do that on the computer. Some of them will be yes or no questions, and I'll explain how to do that. If you are typing in your answers or handwriting in your answers, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, nothing wrong with that at all. Make sure it's very clear. Make sure that if I say, for instance, on 9A, M represents a vocabulary term, that means I'm looking for a word or word-based answer. Okay, so for B, that's a vocabulary term. I'm looking for a word or words. Do not write me a paragraph. That's a single vocabulary term is all I'm looking for there. For 9C, the equation of a line. Okay, it's a specific line, and it goes with the question for 9C, but it better have the form y equals mx plus b, and you need to type that in yourself. A y-intercept is a point, so it should have an x and a y coordinate. A, B, and C for number 10, those are numbers. The x-intercepts in point form, I already tell you that they need to be in point form. There could be more than one. There could be one, there could be none. You need to specify that in your answer here, 10B. For 10C, you are either going to type or write yes, or you're going to type or write the word no. Okay, that's it. K represents a vocabulary term. I'm looking for one word or words here, specific vocabulary terms. B is an actual numerical value. E is a numerical value. E is a numerical value. I'm looking at 11B here, a carrying capacity. That is a number. There's a number. Optimal yield level, that is a number. Harvest time, that's a number. Concave up from t equals 0 to t equals a number here. Okay, P represents a vocabulary term. It should be a word or words here. Okay, A represents a vocabulary term, a word or words. The growth factor, this is going to be a number. 13A, B, and C, you are writing the word yes or the word no for all three of those answers. 13D, E, F, and G have a single letter answer. It will be either A, capital B, capital C, or capital D here for all four of those questions. We enter into the final section of the exam, and it's a regression section for numbers 14, 15, and 16. So you're either going to type or write in the answer form here. Now, if you're trying to type in something that's nonlinear, right, we have mx plus b. I think we're going to be doing some sort of power regression on one of these, so that'd be cx to the k. I'm not sure if it's 15 or 16. If you are going to type it in, I would use as many parentheses as it takes to make it very clear what the format is supposed to be. Be very clear about what the format should be. Okay? So, I mean, that's the whole test in a nutshell. If we just go back and we look at numbers 1 through 8, numbers 1 through 8 utilize the first couple of pages of the exam, because what you're doing is a matching assignment where you are matching the given formula to its table and its graph. So you're going to have two answers for each of these numbers 1 through 8. Okay, you're going to have two answers here. So what you do, like for number 1 is, we'll go look at the formula given by the letter A, and your job will be to find the table that's going to go in the first blank, the table letter that matches, and then you'll find in the second blank the graph that matches with function formula number A. I'm sorry, letter A. All right, these are the official instructions if you choose to turn in your test using Blackboard instead of uploading to the Dropbox. Okay, they're both perfectly fine, meaningful ways to turn this in. You only need to do it one way. If you upload your answer sheet, do not complete the test this way on Blackboard Live. If you do this Blackboard Live version, do not send me copies of your test, okay? The best thing about the online version that some other testing methods don't allow is that you can save and resume your test later. You can have up to 2 attempts at the test. If you totally screw it up and you need to, totally start over, it's fine. After each question, well, you'll see it on the next screen, but there's a little box that says save. So it'll like save your answer to that question. So if you exit out, it'll still have your answer saved. And when you come back into the test, it'll take you to that question. Okay. Again, I highly suggest that you try to complete the entire exam on paper before you access the computer. That way you have your answers ready to go, and you can just type them all in at once. That'd probably be the easiest way, and you could avoid a lot of problems or potential problems. Again, you can see here the due date is May 14th, 2020. The test cannot be started after that date, and the test cannot be turned in after that date. All right, so unfortunately, I have to be strict about this. You cannot submit this test after the due date, due time, because that is the end of the semester. Everything will be over, as I've already gone over. Okay. Basically, you need to use every resource that I have already given you. You have all of the answers to this test in your head, in your notes. Okay, you have the ability to find the answers. So emailing me, asking me math questions will not be an option during this test. You need to use every single resource that you can. Okay, and that includes internet resources if it's with. As I mentioned, the first 8 questions, you are doing a matching assignment. Okay, so for number 1, we're trying to match formula A with a single table. So one of the tables in this column, we'll pick a letter from here. I don't want to give anything away, so I'm not even going to suggest a letter here. And so you'll have in your first blank here a letter between and including I through P. Those are my tables. That'll go in my first blank. And then in my second blank for number 1, I'm going to be selecting a graph from the second sheet of the test. Okay, so that would have letters including Q through X. So you're going to have 2 answers for everything, 1 through 8. All right, 1 through 8. And you will need to access this part of the test no matter what, if you're doing it online or you're doing it via PDF submission into the Dropbox. It doesn't matter how you're doing the test, you need to have this in front of you when you take the test. Here's how it looks in the Blackboard Live version of the exam. You need to determine which table and which graph represents the function given by formula A. Okay, so it tells you what formula, and then your job is to click 2 of these boxes. So put a check mark in 2 of these boxes, all right, and that'll be your answer for the table and the graph that match formula A. Number 9A is a fill in the blank. The blank you're filling in, well, not really fill in the blank, you're telling me what does m represent in the function y equals mx plus b, the linear function. Your job is to type in the word, the vocabulary term that represents m, or that m represents. Looking here at question 9b, you need to type in the vocabulary word or words that b represents in the linear equation y equals mx plus b. Looking at 9c, this one is a true fill in the blank. You're given 2 points, and your job is to figure out the line that passes through those 2 points. All right, so we're filling in the blanks, y equals mx plus b, and your job is to type in the actual numerical value for those 2 terms there. All right, the first answer should be the value of m. Notice where it is in the equation, and the second answer should be the value of b. Let's look at 9d here. The slope of a line is 4, and the line passes through the point 832. Your job is to type in the y-intercept. I would type it in as a point, okay? Like I said, I'll go through and grade each one of these, so if there's a problem or you enter in some different format than what the computer is having, I will go back and check it. For number 10a, we've moved into the quadratic function section of the test. Okay, we've got the general form here, ax squared plus bx plus c. From the table data, your job is to find a, b, and c. You'll type those in order here, so a in the first blank, b in the second blank, c in the third blank. For 10b, you should be looking at the given quadratic formula and finding the x-intercepts. These are also called roots, if that helps you. Okay, so you're finding the roots of that equation. There could be more than one. Okay, there's at least one, I can tell you that. Looking at 10c, same quadratic equation or function, and your job is to select yes or no, is the graph concave up? Number 11 takes us to the logistic function portion of the test. You're given what the general form of a logistic function is, and you can see here we've got some fill in the blank. K represents, this is a vocabulary term that you're typing in. What does K represent in this formula? In the formula, B can be found using a particular formula from the notes. I will not tell you what that is. You can go back to the notes and review how to calculate B. Type your numerical answer here. This one is a number. Okay, what is the value of E rounded to 3 decimal places? E is approximately blah, blah, blah. It's another number rounded to 3 decimal places to get full credit. Looking at 11b, I give you an actual logistic function with numbers filled in. I see a typo here. This should be 1 plus 5. Okay, 1 plus 5. Where N represents the population of chicken, T represents months, so we're in context. The first answer, the carrying capacity, K equals, and you're looking for a number here. Optimum yield level, that's a value here that you can calculate. According to the optimum yield level you found, you should harvest the chickens. Now we're looking for a T value here when you should harvest, and another T value, numerical value here for the final answer of 11b. Number 12 takes us into the exponential functions portion of the final exam. You're given the general form. Your job is to tell me, what does P represent? This should be a vocabulary term that you type in here, or you can use the function notation for what P represents. If you're confused about what that means, you need to find the vocabulary term and type it right into that box. 12b, let's look. Again, same formula. What quantity does A represent? All right, so A is a vocabulary term, and you're just going to type in what it represents there. So that's a word that you're typing in. For 12c, this is going to be a number answer. This is going to be a number. You are calculating the growth factor if you know this percentage rate is R. All right, so you're going to want to go back to your chapter 4 notes and check on exponential functions. Number 13 brings us to the last type of function we'll cover on the exam, the power function. Given the general form, you need to tell me which of the variables which of the symbols represented in that general formula are variables. You're just going to answer yes or no. First we look at C. Is C a variable? Yes or no. Okay, then is X a variable? Yes or no. We're talking about the same general form here. Then is K a variable? And I'm asking this because a few people missed this on the associated attendance quiz. All right, you need to be able to identify which are variables and which are constants. All right, if you made it this far, We're going to finish up with power functions, and then we'll move into regression in number 14. There are 4 questions that are very similar about power functions. You need to be very careful when you're reading the question. In all 4 questions, the value for C is going to be positive. Okay, C will be positive. That'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. K is what we're describing differently in all 4 of these scenarios. Look at this. When K is even and positive, that's 13D. 13E is when K is even and negative. Okay, so you need to pay very close attention to how K is being described. If it was me, I would choose actual values. Let C equal some number that meets the criteria. Let K equal some number that equals the criteria. Go look at the graph. Go look at the graph of that in your calculator and tell me, is it always increasing, always decreasing, increasing then decreasing, or decreasing then increasing? All things that I covered in that PowerPoint for power functions. And 13 F and G, like I said, there are 4 situations. For F and G, we're looking at K as odd, and then we're considering when K is odd and positive or odd and negative. In the regression section, I've only here included numbers 15 and 16 on the test, but there is 14, 15, and 16 are all regression problems. If you struggle to read the values in the tables typed in here in the Blackboard Live version, you should be referencing your printable or downloadable exam form. All of the numbers are the same, so you need to make sure that you're able to access those numbers very clearly. Check them twice. Because as you know with the data, every single decimal place counts. So your job will be to find the function of best fit. I tell you what kind of function that you need to be using when you try to find that line or function of best fit, and it's fill in the blank. So you'll be typing in actual numbers that your calculator gives you from performing regression, all right, on the value of C, we're typing in a number. The value of K, we're typing in a number. The value of P, we're typing in a number. A, we're typing in a number. I believe the number 14 is a linear regression problem. Linear regression problem. And what you should be typing in is a blank for the M value and a blank for the B value. All numbers. Everything you type in on the regression problems, just numbers. All right, so if you made it this far, you made it all the way through the instructions for the final exam, and I really do wish you the best of luck. This is a cumulative exam, so it probably feels really long. With all of the subparts included, for every question, there are only 30 questions. Please use all of your resources. That includes, if you need help, you can check your notes, you can check the recordings for chapters 4 and 5, but for chapters 1, 2, and 3, we had a very detailed note guidebook that you can refer to if you were taking notes during the semester. If not, then you need to use some sort of internet resource to help you out. Okay, I wish you the best of luck.